Welcome back to Buffalo, and we are ready for opening day. Great weather, 61 degrees with a chance of rain, and it's windy. Miami won the toss, they deferred, so Buffalo will receive Tony Sperano about 40 pounds lighter. He's been working out hard during the offseason in his third season with an over 500 record. On the other sideline, Chan Gailey out of football last year after being fired prior to the beginning of the season by Kansas City. He lands on his feet, returning as a head coach in the NFL. Miami leads the series 53-38 with one tie. The team split last year. Miami has dropped, though, 5 straight here in Buffalo. Carpenter to send it away to the rookie. Spiller back deep, and this will be his first opportunity from the 14. And Spiller crosses the 25 and gets up to the 26. Bobby Carpenter with the tackle on special teams. That's a return of 12. Brings on Trent Edwards. Last season threw for over 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. However, a lot of injuries last year, a concussion as well as an ankle injury that ended his season prematurely. What do they want from him this year as their starter?
Well, Gus, they want him to play like the quarterback he looked like he was going to be 3 years ago. He's been in and out of lineup with his own injuries, and his offensive line has not shown the ability to protect him. They want to see him play good, not just manage the game. They want some big plays, and they want some numbers out of the quarterback position.
First down and 10 at the 25. Already Edwards out of the shotgun, passing on first down, dumps it off incomplete. Intended for Fred Jackson, who was the starter last year, has suffered a hand injury, so he lost his starting job because he couldn't get the reps in during the preseason. Let's take a look at this Buffalo offensive line. What jumps out at you?
Well, Eric Wood back in the lineup, a great offensive guard, a true star at that position. Broke his leg badly in week 10 last week. He's back in there and healthy.
Meanwhile, the backs and receivers last season, Lee Evans with a career low 612 yards receiving. He caught only one pass over 40 yards. Second and 10 at the 25. C.J. Spiller, the lone setback for Trent Edwards. And Edwards has that one batted down at the line of scrimmage. Good pressure by that Miami defense. Looks like Wake got a hand on it.
Yeah, Randy Starks as well, getting pressure in the pocket. Starks working against the guy we just spoke about, Eric Wood, and gets his hand in there. That's 2 really good players going. Wood gets pushed back, but Starks able to get the leverage underneath him and knock that pass down. 2 great plays by the Miami defense on first and second down.
Brings up third down and a long 10 at the 25. Bills need to go to the 35 for first down. Edwards starts in the shotgun. The first 3 plays, and he's in trouble, and he's sacked from behind. Carlos Dansby. Out of nowhere, dropping Trent Edwards.
That was the big fear coming in, I think, for the Buffalo Bills. They knew that Miami hadn't shown anything in the preseason, nothing exotic. They get Dansby by himself off the far side. The Bills couldn't set their protection properly, and they left a guy running free at their quarterback. Couldn't have been much worse for Trent Edwards on that first series.
Brian Moorman comes in to punt it away. Edwards has been sacked 46 times the last 2 years. And Clifton Smith is back to return this punt. He was signed earlier this week, a former Pro Bowler in Tampa. And he will handle both punt and kick returns. He gets away from it. So the Dolphins will start with terrific field position, a 35-yard punt. And that brings out Chad Henne. And here's a young man selected by the Dolphins in the second round, 57th overall in 2008. Last season, he started 7-6 record, won his first 2 starts, becoming the first Dolphin quarterback to win his first 2 career starts since Damon Heward back in '99. He's a Michigan man. First down and 10 at the 49. The light, Ronnie Brown in the offset eye. Here's Brown, second man through, looking, and he'll cross into Buffalo territory and keep it going and get to the 43-yard line. And that's an 8-yard gain. Offensively for the Miami Dolphins, let's take a look. Last year they ranked 17th overall. Jake Long, their starting left tackle, third year out of Michigan, has been bothered by a preseason knee injury, but he is in the lineup. Meanwhile, the backs and receivers, Ronnie Brown last year going out with a foot injury. He told us yesterday he's healthy and ready. He feels that he has something to prove this year. Second down and 3 at the 44. Here's Brown again over the right side. And Brown tripped up and taken down. Nice open field tackle by Davis. A 1-yard gain. Let's take a look at the defense for Buffalo. They run a 3-4. Marcus Stroud, former Pro Bowler with Jacksonville, embraced the move to the 3-4. He's number 99. Meanwhile, the linebackers, Paul Posluszny, former Penn State linebacker, healthy this year, and in the secondary, they've got a ball hawk. Jarris Byrd tied for first in the NFL with 9 interceptions. He went to the Pro Bowl, second year out of Oregon. Third down and 3 at the 44. Henne, he's got a big arm underneath, and it's caught. Guess who? Brandon Marshall. His first grab, and he gets close to the Buffalo 30-yard line. Now talk about Weapon X, Steve Tasker. This man can play the game.
Absolutely. You see there, he gets picked up by the tight end, Terrence McGee, trying to follow him across the formation, and he can't do it. Nice job by the Dolphins offense. Dan Henne calling the pick play as Brandon Marshall gets across the formation. Another receiver runs in front of the defensive back, McGee covering him, and leaves him wide open.
Traded to Miami from Denver for an undisclosed draft choice. Meanwhile, some miscommunication on the staff as Henne falls on the football. Flag on the play as well.
Deep in the secondary.
And it will be a loss of 4.
Yeah, they looked like they called illegal contact in the secondary, but there was no pass play.
Down before the foul occurs.
Okay, so second down. And we're going to wind the clock.
And you'll watch as Henne goes down, anything that happens in the secondary doesn't count. So there was an illegal contact down the field, but because there was no pass play that took place and Henne had given himself up, there was no penalty on it. That's why they picked the flag up.
So a loss of 4, second down and 14 at the 35 for Miami. Polite and Ronnie Brown in the backfield. Here's Henne on a play fake. In trouble, finds a way to get it off. Here's Brown, breaks down the sideline dive, and gets inside the Buffalo 20. That's a 16-yard pickup for the Dolphins as Florence tripped him up. And a first down Miami.
Yeah, it was a nice play by Henne. Watch as Ronnie Brown goes in, blocks, and then releases. And that's exactly what you got to learn to do as a linebacker. You see Ellis comes in, engages Ronnie Brown as though he's rushing a passer, and ends up he should be covering him as a receiver. Tough play for a defender to make, and well executed by Ronnie Brown and Chad Henne.
First down and 10. Ricky Williams in the game now. Inside handoff. This is Polite, the fullback, and he'll run straight ahead. Gains 4 on the play. Miami, the offense was effective in the red zone last season, scoring touchdowns 61% of the time, good for 4th in the NFL. Miami finished with 33 touchdowns, 15 field goals, and 54 red zone trips, and due in large part to 2 great running backs.
No question. You see all those guys running. You see Chad Henne and everybody else, but you don't see anybody throwing the ball into the end zone. This team in Miami runs it into the end zone, and they're good at it.
And here we go with the Wildcat. Ronnie Brown, the quarterback. Ricky Williams, the receiver, at the top of your screen. Marshall at the bottom. They run it straight ahead. And he just runs into the line. Still going. And somehow bounces it out and picks up a few more. Gains 3 on the play. And basically, as Kelsey makes the tackle, it was the Miami Dolphins who created this Wildcat craze in the NFL.
Yeah, it really was. And it's Ronnie Brown himself, is no question, because once the Dolphins did this and they had a guy like Ronnie Brown, everybody decided they were going to try it. And what they found out is when you take the quarterback out of the mix, you got more guys in there to block than the defenders have to tackle. And it becomes a numbers game with X's and O's rather than it does talent.
Third down at 4 at the 13. Ricky Williams is a tailback. Here's Henne looking. Henney fires underneath. Brandon Marshall with the catch, but he'll go backwards. A swarming Buffalo defense spearheaded by Terrence McGee. No gain on the play.
And that'll force the 3 points by the Dolphins. And Marshall, one of the things the Bills did on that, it did a nice job of forcing Henney to take the check down. You see there, they're trying to get a piece of Marshall at every turn. He comes off the line. One guy can take a shot at him within 5 yards, then everybody else has to leave him. You can bet somebody's going to take a shot at Marshall every play.
So Dan Carpenter coming off a Pro Bowl year. This is a 32-yard attempt. It's up and good. 8:54 to go in the first quarter. Miami getting on the board, taking a 3-0 lead on the road in Buffalo. Welcome back to Buffalo. Ronnie Brown on the sideline. As you take a look at the scoring summary, 9 plays, covered 37 yards, eating up over 5 minutes. Carpenter nails the 32-yarder. Spiller, the deep man for Buffalo, and he will take a knee. So coming up, the Bills will have it at their 20-yard line, trailing at home 3-0.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. The new 2011 Mustang, a whole new breed of car. And by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot.
That is, yes. Welcome back. A beautiful shot of the American side of Niagara Falls. Miami with a 3-0 lead. Buffalo takes over at their own 20-yard line. C.J. Spiller, Fred Jackson in the backfield. And once again, Trent Edwards is in the shotgun. This time, they give it Spiller, and he runs forward, crosses the 25 up to the 27. Dansby with the tackle, 6-yard gain. Last year, Miami ranked 22nd overall defensively, 24th against the pass, 18th against the run. Randy Starks, a man in the middle, had 7 sacks last year, 7th year out of Maryland. Meanwhile, some linebacker issues. Channing Crowder has a groin injury, so Tim Dobbins starts for him. Also, Akika Alma-Francis woke up this morning feeling sick, so Koamisi starts at linebacker. And then you take a look at the secondary. And here's Spiller once again, running over the right side. Jeremiah Bell with the tackle, and it's a gain of 2.
Well, you said it, Gus. The Bills have yet to line up under center, and this was the first play right here to Spiller on the run. Had such a good preseason, really got people excited, did C.J. Spiller in the preseason. And you're right, he is, you try and come up with different ways to describe how fast he is, but the thing is, he's also shifty, and he runs a physical type of game as well. So he's a good running back with that added dimension of breakaway speed.
3rd down and 2 at the 28. Edwards again in the gun. This time to pass underneath, and it is caught. Nelson with the grab, the rookie out of Florida, as he goes across the middle and picks up 3. Time now for an NFL update with the svelte James Brown in New York.
Gus and Steve, Patriots wideout Wes Welker coming off of injury in the last regular season game, off to a good start, hauling in that reception there to touchdown from Tom Brady, NFL receptions leader with 123. Patriots on top, 7-0. Back to the always in shape Gus Johnson and, of course, Steve Tasker.
All right, JB, thank you. 1st and 10 for Buffalo at the 32. McIntyre along with Spiller in the backfield. Here's Spiller looking, and he's stacked up. Jeremiah Bell, first man to him. Falling forward for a gain of 2.
And this is going to be a huge issue as this game rolls on. Buffalo trying to get a running game going, really just to complement and get a chance to get the ball back into Trent Edwards' hands and throw the football. Miami, you get a different sense. When they run the football, Miami really means it. They want to run the ball, and they're good at it.
Chan Gailey, former Miami Dolphin offensive coordinator, considered an innovator when it comes to offense. When we talked to him on Friday at their facility, we said, well, what do you think? He said, I don't know until 4 o'clock on Sunday. Spiller out of the backfield now. Oh, great open field tackle for the Dolphins as Clemens comes up from his safety position, and that's a loss of 4.
Yeah, and that's the second pass that's been completed by Trent Edwards, and that was for a loss. The Dolphins did a great job. I think you kind of expect this when you got a team like the Dolphins. You know you're going to throw some blitzes, and get a good pass rush against a Buffalo Bills team, you're going to do a lot of exotic things up front. They've already had some guys running free at the quarterback. You know, because of that, you'll see screens and draws to counteract it. They were ready.
3rd down and 12 at the 30. They need to go to the 42 for a 1st down. Edwards in the gun once again. 4-receiver package. Edwards underneath, caught by Evans, but well short of the 1st down. Interesting selection. With Buffalo there, and they will be forced to punt it again.
Yeah, that was a play where Trent Edwards had to be more patient. It looked like the Dolphins were going to send guys from everywhere, and nobody rushed. Only 3 men rushed. They dropped everybody into coverage. Trent Edwards felt like he was going to have to get rid of it quick. He really didn't. He could have waited and maybe found somebody down the field, but I think he threw it a little too quickly.
Clifton Smith back deep. Ryan Moorman last year averaged 46.5 yards per punt, highest average in team history. This a wobbly kick. Smith fields it on the run of the 32, and it's chopped down at the 35. First man to him, Paul plus Lusney. 36-yard punt, 3-yard return, and here comes Chad Henne and the Dolphins. All right, it's not too late to play NFL.com's all-new fantasy football game. The first and only game with video. It's free, and it's easy to play. Sign up today at NFL.com/fantasy. Gus Johnson, Steve Tasker with you. As Tony Sperano,
Here we go,
we talked to him yesterday at their team hotel. He really felt good about his team, and you don't see that with coaches too often.
No, he did. He felt like they accomplished some things. He felt good about the things he wanted to feel good about. He did have some questions, but he was confident that he was going to get the right answers from his players.
Goes down at 10. Here's Ricky Williams. And Ricky, 32 years old now. They referred to him as the old man. In the backfield, Kyle Williams plus Lusney with the tackle, and Ricky picks up 2 on the play.
I talked to Dan Henning on the phone this week, and a guy I played for as an offensive coordinator. Dan said, Ricky Williams, he's like the Energizer Bunny. The guy's the oldest guy in the backfield, but he is so energetic, so powerful, and he's so light on his feet, even at his weight. He's just a lot of fun to coach, and he's still a big force on their offense.
2nd down and 8 at the 37. Play fake, Henning looking down the field with time underneath. Brandon Marshall. At midfield, tackled by Drayton Florence, but that's a gain of 13 yards.
Yeah, single coverage on Brandon Marshall with Drayton Florence, and you know Chad Henne had time to wait on it. It was a deep crossing route, the kind you got to have good protection for. Henne had it, and watch how Brandon Marshall, physical at the line of scrimmage, goes out, gets into they got lots of contact, doesn't matter. Brandon Marshall, you can cover him if you want to. He's still going to get the ball thrown to him.
3 catches, 25 yards already for Marshall. 1st down at midfield for Miami. Here's the reverse. Bess around the corner. Can he get there? Good defense by Buffalo as Dwan Edwards pushed him out and prevented the speedy receiver from getting around the corner. No gain.
And you see him right here down inside. He sees it and does exactly what he's supposed to do. If you want to stop the wide run, get penetration. Force the runner to go behind the line of scrimmage. Don't force him to the sidelines. Make him run deep to get to the sidelines. That gives the pursuit a chance to catch up.
2nd down and 10 at midfield. Play action. Henning dumps it down, incomplete, intended for Ricky Williams. He may have had Brian Hartline on a post open, but I don't know if Henning saw him.
Yeah, I think he saw a little bit of pressure from Ellis coming up. And there's Stroud, you see, coming around as well. But Henne has had, thus far in this game, lots of time to look around the football field. And if that continues, you can bet sooner or later he's going to find his rhythm, and they're going to start hitting big plays down the football field because Dan Henning will take advantage of it if the Bills can't put pressure on Chad Henne.
3rd down and 10. Henne 4 of 5 out of the gun. Marshall at the bottom of your screen. Henne looks that way on the out route, incomplete. He had a hand in his face. Good pressure being applied by Maven for Buffalo.
Well, Marshall comes open. Watch, Terrence McGee's on him. He's going to take him short. He's got safety over the top. And Whitner couldn't get out there. They've got two guys on him, but it was the pressure that forced Henny to throw it and let too much air get underneath it, and it wasn't a completion, but it could have been.
Miami forced the punt it away, end over end. Aussie kick by Field. Parrish from the 11, and he's taken down at the 14. 38-yard punt, 2-yard return. Patrick Cobbs with the tackle on special teams.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AT&T. Rethink possible. And by the Capital One Venture Card. What's in your wallet?
Dolphins fans making their way to Buffalo. One of the great rivalries in the AFC East. Bills and the Dolphins. Buffalo with the football at their own 15. Here's the pitch. Spiller over the right side. He's got a convoy in front of him, but not a lot of room to run. As Walden trips him up, it's a gain of 2. Let's take a look at what we call the task force.
Look at C.J. Spiller, and since the year 2000, 8 rookies have rushed for 1,200 yards or more, including Adrian Peterson and, of course, Chris Johnson. And there's 3 running backs drafted in the first round this year. C.J. Spiller was first, Ryan Matthews to San Diego, and Javid Best in Detroit. I think of the 3, Ryan Matthews in San Diego has the best chance to repeat that feat at 1,200 yards.
Got the best cast around it. Here's Edwards throwing on the run to Spiller out of the backfield, down the sideline. The misdirection, Dansby with the tackle. Spiller gained 6.
And you talk about that. Matthews in Fresno State, over in San Diego, he's taken over for LaDainian Tomlinson. You talk about getting 1,200 yards as a rookie. That's the role out in San Diego that is perfectly suited for a rookie to do that. Matthews going to get a chance to run the ball a lot, and he's going to be the only guy. C.J. Spiller is one of 3 backs in Buffalo, and of course, Best in Detroit. I don't know that the pieces are in place in Detroit to allow anybody to rush for 1,200 yards, let alone a rookie.
3rd down and 2 at the 23. Fred Jackson in the slot at the bottom of the screen. Edwards to the sideline, overthrows Parrish. And once again, Buffalo comes up empty offensively.
You know, coming into that possession before they had a 3 and out, they had 9 plays in their first 2 possessions for 3 total yards, -7 in passing. The Bills have yet to find their rhythm, and I think a lot of it is due to that Miami defense. They're coming after Trent Edwards, and then when they don't come after Trent Edwards, you know, he still feels like the pressure's there.
Mormon standing inside his own 10. Smith at the 36. And Smith will signal and make the fair catch at the 35, a 42-yard punt.
You're watching the NFL on CBS.
Buffalo's offense, Steve, struggling. 11 total yards, and we're almost in the second quarter. First down and 10 at the 35. Miami with 52 total yards. Polite and Ronnie Brown in the backfield. Henny fires, and this is Polite, the fullback, dives forward, and he gets 10. And a first down, plus Lusney with the tackle. Now, is your fantasy football site letting you down? There's still time to upgrade to the award-winning fantasy football commissioner. Get a special offer and help moving your league at cbssports.com/upgrade. They say it's a gain of 9, second down and 1 at the 44. Ronnie Brown. And he picks up a first down. 2-yard gain.
Yeah, this Miami defense, you know, the Miami offense with Tony Sperano, you knew on a second and very short, you knew what was going to happen. You knew Ronnie Brown was going to get it and a hand up inside the guards, and there's nothing you can do about it. The Bills defense stopped it for probably a less than a yard gain, but it's still a first down, and that's what's so important about this Miami team. They don't beat themselves. They get the yard they're supposed to and keep on trucking.
Brown in motion out of the backfield. Henning underneath. Brandon Marshall stops, stays on his feet. What a terrific play as he gains a first down. Chris Ellis stops him. But they always talk about Marshall's ability to run after the catch. You saw it there. Picks up 10. Miami with a 3-0 lead. However, on the move, 1st and 10 at the Buffalo 44. Henny out of the backfield. This time he finds Polite. Polite doing a nice job catching the ball out of the backfield. Gains a couple there, but let's go back to Brandon Marshall. What makes him such a special player?
Well, he's so good getting open and making tough catches. And watch this. After the catch, he's just as effective. Puts his hand down. That gives you a chance for a home run on a little dink slant pass when he's covered, well covered. And he just keeps himself alive, and his ability after the catch is just as impressive as his stuff he does before the catch.
2nd down and 7 at the 41. Brown bouncing it outside, hurdles a man, and gets to the 30. Ronnie Brown is back, and he gains 10 on the play. Chris Kelsey makes the stop.
Now, watch right over here. Chris Kelsey's going to have this play defended. He's got to step up and make the play, and he can't get a hand on Ronnie Brown. Then George Wilson goes in to take him on low. Ronnie Brown jumps over for an extra 5 yards. If you've got the right defense called, if you're the Buffalo Bills, you got to make the tackle. They did not.
1st down and 10 at the 31 of Buffalo. Henny looking, Henny to the sideline, incomplete. Hartline, the intended receiver, 2nd-year player out of Ohio State. Terrence McGee covering. And we asked Hartline when we talked to him, Brian Hartline. He went to Ohio State. His quarterback, Chad Henne, went to Michigan. He said, what is it like, a Michigan guy throwing to an Ohio State guy? His response was very interesting.
Yeah, he says, no big deal until that week when they play. He says, fine, you know, it's no big deal. It's just like a regular day of practice until the week Michigan plays Ohio State. Then they don't like each other. He'll look him off.
Hartline coming off a great year. Over 30 catches, over 500 yards. 4th round pick. Henny rolling. Throws on the run. Incomplete. Intended for his fullback, Polite. So that brings up 3rd down and long for the Dolphins.
You want to know how a guy gets great, Gus. You see Chad Henne, he tried to get it into Hartline, then he boots out, tries to get it into his big fullback. Brandon Marshall doesn't drop balls like that. He catches everything you throw at him. You wonder why a guy gets more balls thrown to him than anybody else? He doesn't drop those. They don't bounce out of his hands. He makes tough catches, and a quarterback learns. He almost trains the quarterback to know that you can throw it to him in any situation and count on it.
3rd down and 10 at the 31, and Henny will call a timeout. First timeout called by the Dolphins. A big 3rd down and 10 coming up for Miami. At the Buffalo 31. Dolphins are 1 of 3 on 3rd down conversion. Brandon Marshall, the receiver at the top of your screen. Henny hands it off. And here's Ronnie Brown. Close to the 1st down. Let's see where they spot it. Looks like he may have it. He picks up 11.
Yeah, and that's a crusher for a Bills defense that was about to make a good stop on a drive. They come with a big stunt up inside, and the Dolphins run a nice little lead draw right off the right side, and Ronnie Brown bounces it to the outside, gets it. The Bills dropping back, trying to roll the coverage to Brandon Marshall, who was to that side. They just couldn't rally fast enough to stop Ronnie Brown from getting the 1st down.
So Ronnie Brown, 6 carries, 33 yards, 1st down Miami. Ricky Williams in the game. Here's Ricky looking, lowers his shoulder, and submarines to the 17 as he picks up 3.
We spoke a little while ago how good this Dolphin offense is when they get down close. Bills held them to a field goal when they got down there the first time. But when you can run the football, everything else is on the table. You got Ronnie Brown, Ricky Williams in there, and when you add Brandon Marshall to that, they're a handful down close, and they're very good at scoring touchdowns in a larger percentage of the time than they are field goals.
Now Ricky Williams, a receiver at the bottom of your screen. Henne once again trips over his center, throws it, it's caught anyway. Hartline dives and gets inside the 10. Whitner with the tackle. A 10-yard pickup, but there was a flag on the play.
Yeah, Chad Henne's getting stepped on by his own offensive line. It happened earlier in the game and he took a sack. This time he has the presence of mind to get up and make the play.
Illegal formation. Offense. Not enough men on the line of scrimmage. The 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Yeah, and at least they get to repeat the down, and he got up and made that play to Hartline, and that's a heads-up play. What happens is the quarterback kind of gets in the habit. He'll step out with one foot or the other, and if the defensive lineman bangs into the center and the center takes a small step backwards, he'll step on the quarterback's toe.
Second down and 12 at the 22. 10th play of the drive that started at the Miami 35. Empty backfield for Henne. Fasano crosses. Henne over the middle. Fasano, great catch, and he's down at the 1. Posluszny with the touchdown-saving tackle, but it's a 21-yard pickup. Anthony Fasano.
Well, you knew Fasano was going to start to sprout his wings a little bit. 2 years ago, he really looked to be going to be a phenomenal tight end. Then last year, with the problems of the offense, he really got overlooked a little bit. But with the emergence of Brandon Marshall, you know a big guy down the middle is going to come in very handy, particularly in this area of the field.
First down and goal for the Dolphins at the Buffalo 1. Ronnie Brown, the deep man. They give it to him. Up and over. Touchdown, Dolphins. .32 career rushing touchdowns now for Ronnie Brown as he gets in here.
Yeah, this is the exact scenario that the Bills, and I think their fans too, were fearing, and the Dolphins would come in and just really power over the defensive front of the Bills. That running game, you know, the Bills did not do a good job in the preseason of stopping it, and they just had no confidence that a team like Dolphins was going to run over them.
And the extra point is good. So Ronnie Brown gives Miami a 10-0 lead here in the second quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. FedEx, we understand. You need a winning game plan. FedEx. And by Denny's 2468 value menu. Try 16 different value meals all day, every day.
Let's take a look at the scoring summary. Miami goes 11 plays, covering 65 yards. Ronnie Brown with the 1-yard touchdown, but they converted on 3rd down and 10 at the 31 when Brown ran 11 yards for a first down.
That was an impressive drive by the Dolphins. Overcame a penalty and also a 3rd and long to keep it alive. And when they got down in the red zone, hit the tight end Fasano down the middle. And that is one more thing that the Bills are going to have to think about. I mean, when they're making these plays, not only to Brandon Marshall in the running game, but when you got Fasano thrown in the mix, all of a sudden Chad Henne is going to have a pretty good day.
So Buffalo challenged now to make something happen offensively. Spiller back deep, along with Donald Nelson. This one kicked out of bounds. Wow. Carpenter kicking it out of bounds, so that means this Buffalo team will have pretty decent field position to start this drive.
Yeah, it'll be their best field position of the day.
And you know Coach Morano doesn't like that. Find out why TV Guy calls Hawaii 5-0. Fall's hottest new show and the coolest remake ever. Catch the Wave Monday, September 20th, only CBS. Book 'em, Dano.
Steve McGarrett.
That's right, Jack Lord. First down and 10 of the 40. Marshawn Lynch in the game now. They give it to him. And Marshawn, he will be dropped for a loss. Jeremiah Bell, he's been very technical. Also, Soliai in on the play, and this defense has been all over the field.
Yeah, they really have. They've done extremely well. This is the first pass of the game. They got it knocked down. Second one got knocked down by Starks down inside. Trent Edwards got sacked from behind by Dansby. They have really played well in the front seven for Miami. Stuffed the Buffalo run and really not allowed Trent Edwards to find any receivers down the football field. Really impressive showing by the Miami defense.
Second down and 11. Lynch in motion out of the backfield. Edwards underneath. Throws a very nice ball there. Steve Johnson, the third-year player out of Kentucky, with the catch, and he gains 8. Chris Clemens brings him down in the secondary.
And the Buffalo Bills continue to move people around, trying to get in different formations, different personnel combinations. And here, this is just a double hook on the outside. And Gus, that's a really easy pass to complete. And Chan Gailey just trying to get this offense to have some positive things to think about so they can move on to more complicated things. But right now, a double hook on the outside, that's high school football.
Third down and 3. Fred Jackson turns the corner, picks up the first, and gets out of bounds. Beautifully done as Jason Allen pushes him out of bounds. But Jackson, who's been plagued with that injured hand, picks up 8.
Yeah, and you see here, this is a nice play on the outside. Freddie Jackson bouncing it around, gets good blocking up front. And you see, Gus, and what I say, the simple route on the outside, you get a nice completion. All of a sudden, everything changes. You see there the year that Freddie Jackson had, he had a nice little ceremony before the game. He gave his jersey to the Pro Football Hall of Fame as the only player with that season. 1,000 yards kickoff returns and 1,000 yards rushing.
First down to the 44. Marshawn Lynch with room. Marshawn Lynch pops it out. Stiff arm. And now Buffalo starting to find their rhythm offensively. He gains 15. Davis with the tackle. But Marshawn Lynch, when he came out of Cal, here's a player with a lot of promise. And as a matter of fact, they've got 3 great running backs in the backfield for Buffalo.
Absolutely. Marshawn Lynch is no question. He's the biggest and most physical of the 3. He gets into what he calls this beast mode, and he does not stop. He is a vicious runner with the football. Nobody, I don't think I've seen in the NFL runs like he does. They're better backs, but nobody runs it like he does.
First down and 10. Marshawn Lynch once again looking for some room. And he crawls down inside the 30-yard line of Miami. They call him a beast. He's trying to return to that beastly status, Steve Tasker.
And you can see 09 was a down year, not only for Marshawn Lynch, but for just about everybody on the Bills offense except for Freddie Jackson. He only started 8 games last year, but this is a guy that really runs angry. And there's a place for him on this team, particularly with the 2 guys that complement him, in Freddie Jackson and Marshawn Lynch. And C.J. Spiller.
Second down and 11 at the 30. Lynch and Jackson in the backfield. This time it's Jackson. And Jackson wrestled down. And this is Benny Sapp coming up and making the tackle. A 2-yard gain.
It's interesting backfield combinations. They run sometimes 3 running backs in the backfield, sometimes 2 running backs and a tight end or a receiver. They do a lot of varied formations in the backfield due to the Buffalo Bills. And it's because of those 2 guys plus Freddie Jackson that they're able to do it. They move guys around to different spots where you don't normally see players line up in the NFL, and it causes, hopefully some confusion for the defenses they face.
Third down and 9 at the 28. Edwards steps up in the pocket, got to get it free, and he won't. Good pressure being applied by Miami as Cameron Wake comes up and makes the sack, second of the day for the Dolphins.
Yeah, and that was a huge sack because it really put him back into a long field goal position. But this is what we talked about in the open, Gus. Trent Edwards can't end the play with the ball in his hands. He's got to throw the football out of that pocket. No matter how quick the pressure gets there, he's got to buy himself some time and get rid of the football, or else it's going to be an even longer day than it's been this half for the Buffalo Bills.
Ryan Lindell in to attempt a 51-yard field goal. Got it down. And good. He nails it. Buffalo's on the board. 7:08 to play in the second quarter. We've got a 10-3 game on CBS. 8 plays, 27 yards, Ryan Liddell with a 51-yard field goal as Buffalo gets on the board here in the second quarter. So Liddell will kick it away back deep. Clifton Smith and Buffalo, Steve, with some success on offense.
They
probably
finally,
the best drive of the day for them.
They went clear back to basic football, just double hooks on the outside, and they got a completed pass. And then because of that, they ran a nice little play off the left side, and they've started to have some success in other areas because they can complete pass.
Smith will start from his own one. And he's taken down at the 16-yard line. That's Corey McIntyre with the tackle on special teams, a 13-yard return. This Wednesday on the premiere of Survivor, can former NFL coach Jimmy Johnson lead his team to victory? Don't miss Survivor on its new night, premiering this Wednesday only CBS.
How about it?
I thought he worked for the other guys. Well, what's that about?
I thought he was almost 70 years old. He's 68.
Wow, he looks great,
He
too.
does look great. I hope I look like that.
Wow. First down at 10 at the 17. Henny throwing on first down. Over the middle. And caught at the 30-yard line. Fasano picks up a few extra after the catch as Whitner and George Wilson bring him down, but it's a gain of 16.
And you can see the confidence Henny has, knowing he's going to drop back. He's going to have somebody downfield running open. Fasano comes out in a little cluster formation. There's a lot of receivers right there. Fasano, two wide receivers, and the running back comes out behind him. And that's just, you get confused as a defense. You leave somebody running open, and Henny found it.
Fasano in his 5th year out of Notre Dame, first down at the 34. Ricky Williams, and he's wrestled down by Posluszny.
This really impressive first half by the Dolphin offense. They're running the ball well. They're getting solid, positive yards every time they touch the football. Henny, you can tell too, and it's really a microcosm of what he did last season. He's getting better the longer this half wears on, and his team's getting more confident around him.
Second down and 6 at the 38. Wright and Williams in the backfield. Here's Williams again, and Ricky goes over the 40-yard line. He gets up to the 41. One of the most interesting characters in the NFL at 32 years old. Ricky Williams reemerged as one of the top running backs in the league last year, finishing 10th in the league in rushing yards, tied for 7th in TDs, while leading the Dolphins in rushing for the first time since 2003.
Yeah, when Ronnie Brown went down, there were some questions as to whether Ricky Williams still had gas in his tank to carry the load for as long as Ronnie Brown was out. Not only did he carry it, he thrived last year. It was a real testament to the shape he keeps himself in.
Third down and 2 at the 42. Here's the pitch to Ricky. And Ricky Williams picks up the first down over the 45 to the 46.
Yeah, the ball came out late. Or Ricky popped out of the pile late. And I'll tell you, Gus, there you have right there. The Dolphins come out on that series right there. They got the first down to Fasano right off the bat. Then they ran the ball 3 straight times and got a first down. Yeah, he thinks he might have been, he did touch down. Now, he was down on the ground, and they called him down by contact for the first down. But that's 3 straight runs after the drive start for a first down. That's death for a Bills defense.
From the 46, Henny looking, fires down the field, open, Marshall. Oh, he dropped it at the 15. That ball's thrown short. Henny with a wide open Brandon Marshall.
Brandon Marshall makes a sensational move at the top of this route. Rush right there. Both guys, Whitner and McKelvin, drop their hips and think he's going to run the crossing route, and they get caught peeking in the backfield. He had to wait on the football, which is usually not the case. When you do the pump fake, when you do that hesitation move as a receiver, usually you can't catch up to the football. And that time, Henny underthrew it.
Ronnie Brown. And he's tripped up and taken down in the backfield. Spencer Johnson Seventh-year player out of Auburn with the tackle, no gain. Brandon Marshall, not only is he big and athletic, but he is deceivingly fast.
Absolutely, and he's a big, strong guy. You know, he's tapping his shoulder, says that was my fault on that last throw. He took a play off after the deep route, but working against Leotis McKelvin and Dante Whitner, you know, you pick a guy and you try a double move on him because usually you see something on film that you like. They saw it, waited until late in the first half, and came wide open on the double move. Just couldn't connect.
They rise to their feet here at Ralph Wilson Stadium. 3rd and 10 at the 46. Henny with all day to throw it to the sideline. Best with the catch. And he's close to a first down. Leotis McKelvin makes the tackle.
And that is very close to a first down. They're going to have to measure that, I think. But Devon Best, a great 3rd down receiver. Henny knows it, finds him out on the sideline. He's so strong with the ball in his hands. Really good at getting that last few inches to cross over the line. You see there.
Really
second half of the
on.
season. Yeah,
second half of the season.
Yeah, had a great, really emerged last year. And as a guy that's really dependable for this club. Now, when you get a guy and throw in a guy like Brandon Marshall into the mix, a lot of people think, well, you know, the other receivers are kind of like, oh, no, I'm not going to get him. Believe me, everybody on the team is happy they get another great player. They're better with him than without him, and that means more for everybody, even if you are a receiver and they pull in another great receiver.
And it's a first down. Miami keeping the chains moving. Just missing on what would have been a touchdown if Henny and Brandon Marshall could have connected on the play.
Yeah, it came open, but Henny, you know, he just didn't have the confidence to release that ball right when he waited for Marshall to get open rather than trusting that he would be open. He was just a hair late on the release.
First down and 10, would have been a 54-yard touchdown. Ball at the 44-yard line of Buffalo. Ricky Williams. And Williams grabbed and taken down was Lusney, Marcus Stroud. A 2-yard gain. Don't forget, coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report, join JB, Dan Shannon, Boomer, and Coach C. All the latest NFL scores and highlights, plus a special preview of the U.S. Open men's final between Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic. It's coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report. Coach Power sporting the Fu Manchu. Second down and 8 at the 42. Henny underneath. Marshall with the catch, breaks the tackle, and goes down at the 35. Drake Florence with the tackle, but a 6-yard pickup for Brandon Marshall. 5 catches, 41 yards for Weapon X, and that takes us to the 2-minute warning. Dolphins with the lead, the ball, and driving. 10-3 Miami, 2 minutes to go.
I think it's a foul. We warned you.
In the second quarter, 3rd down and 2 at the 36 for the Dolphins. They're 4 of 6 on 3rd down conversion. Ronnie Brown, Ricky Williams, both in the backfield now. Henny will throw it. Henny looking, pulls it down, wants to run it, and dives for a first down.
Yeah, he's going to get the first down. The clock's going to keep running because it was a positive yardage, and they're going to let it run, not take the timeout, go ahead and huddle up. They're in no hurry. They've got to have a lot of confidence. Great job by Henny right here. Just getting the first down, heads up, get some positive yards. It was a 3rd and about 2, and everybody was covered up.
So a first down, Miami with 2 timeouts left at the Buffalo 33. Buffalo showing blitz. Here they come. Henny in trouble, and he goes down at the 42. Buzz Lusney, Kyle Williams, both in on the play. First sack of the day for Buffalo.
Yeah, and you'll see it here. Paul Posluszny is going to come all the way around, and he's going to meet heads with Ricky Williams right over here, and then it's going to be not enough to give him enough time to get the pass off. Great contact by Ricky Williams, but you got to hold that block.
And it's a loss of 6 on the play. Miami calls a timeout, 10-3.
Beat
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bank of America. And by the Miller Lite aluminum pint, for more ounces of that great Pilsner taste.
And coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report, join JD, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowell for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. Plus a special preview of the U.S. Open men's final between Rafael Nadal and Novak Djokovic. It's coming up on the Sprint Halftime Report. Second down and 16 at the 39 for Miami. And this play, blown dead prior to the snap.
They took a timeout, did they? There's a flag, and they picked the flags up because they didn't realize a timeout.
Miami cannot call consecutive timeouts. There is no timeout of the play. Second down.
Isn't that a penalty? There's no penalty for calling 2 consecutive timeouts if they don't award you a timeout. And stop. Okay, they got it.
Brandon Marshall not happy. Second and 16 at the 39.
I don't think that and here's the thing, I don't think the Dolphins called that first timeout. I think it was an official's timeout.
First day for everybody, including the officials.
There is no timeout in the play. There is no foul in the play. It's second down.
I said it once, and I'm saying it again, and I mean it this time. There's no timeout. Okay.
Okay, we got you.
Okay.
So once again, second and 16 at the 39. Marshall, the receiver, in the slot at the top of your screen. Hotline. Moving. Henny throws on the run. Thrown low. Picked up. Marshall short of the first down. Stays in bounds. Florence with the tackle with 58 seconds and counting. Miami with 1 timeout remaining.
Yeah, they've got to try and get another few yards, and this is important. All they need is about 3 yards to make it a pretty good chance at a good field goal. But if they get a first down, there's plenty of time for them to call that last timeout and take a shot at the end zone. So the Bills have to watch both the short gain and the go for broke.
He sets up a screen. Fasano's got blockers. Fasano down the sideline, finally chopped down inside the Buffalo 30 by Dante Whitner. He picks up 8 yards.
Yeah, and then the Dolphins do take their last timeout with 21 seconds left, and you knew that's exactly why they called the play just before this one. Henny rolled out, hit Brandon Marshall for a short gain. They wanted to check out how the Bills pursued on the backside.
Big first half for Fasano. 3 catches, 46 yards to lead the Dolphins in yards receiving in the first half. Brandon Marshall, 6 catches, 44 yards. And that brings on Dan Carpenter. With 21 seconds to go.
And it goes from a 52-yarder down to a 46-yarder, and that's a big difference.
Got it up. Oh, no good. So the Bills dodge a bullet. 16 seconds to go in the first half as Carpenter misses the 46-yarder, and the score remains 10-3.
Yeah, and that takes away, as you see here, he's going to kick this and just pull it to his left. That really takes away the Dolphins' ability to take a nice deep breath at halftime, going up by 10 points, going in and coming back out for the second half. Now, they got to think, well, now we're only down by 1 touchdown. You figure the Bills are going to score a touchdown at some point in the game. You know, it just puts that pressure back on yourselves by missing an opportunity to take points in at halftime.
Buffalo takes over at their own 36. Edwards throws the screen to Spiller, and that one is deflected at the line of scrimmage. Cameron Wake getting a hand on the football.
Once again, Trent Edwards getting that ball batted down right as he releases it. And he's supposed to have pressure all night. They're supposed to act like they're going to block these guys and make the defensive linemen think they're doing a great job, only to be found out that they were allowed to go back. But Wake does a great job. You said it, Gus. If you're not going to make the sack, next best thing is to knock the thing down.
12 seconds to go. Buffalo with all 3 timeouts. Second down and 10 at 36.
Timeout, Buffalo. This is a 30
The Bills
second
will call the timeout. 10-3, back after this. Closing moments of the first half, Miami with a 10-3 lead.
One of the reasons they took that timeout, they had a guy run on the field late, and they had 12 men on the field, so they were forced to take a timeout.
Edwards, he's been in the shotgun most of the day. Looking, now scrambles out of the pocket, throws across the field. Johnson with the grab. Got to get out. He does, but it looks like the clock will expire. A 19-yard gain, and that's the end of the first half with the score. Miami 10, Buffalo 3. We'll be back with the Sprint halftime report after this message. And a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Wait a minute. We have heard that
Well, they pulled
Buffalo
the players.
could be running another play.
Yeah, they had the field judge back under the goalpost, stopping everybody from coming off the field. And he said, wait. And the official clock is kept on the field by the line judge.
So they're going to come up and attempt a field goal. Ryan Lindell has already hit a 51-yarder.
This is from 63.
This is from 63 yards away, and we're not in Denver.
Here's the hard part, Gus. If they kick this, they have to cover it as well because they could catch the ball and return it like a punt.
Norman the holder. They get it down, up, and short. Good try for Lindell. And that's the end of the first half with the score. Miami 10, Buffalo 3. And it looks like Lindell feels that he just missed it.
He missed it, but not just.
10-3 the score. Welcome back. Ralph Wilson Stadium, 10-3, Miami and Buffalo in an AFC East division game. Gus Johnson along with Steve Tasker. Steve, the first half wasn't a beautifully played half, but we have a close game.
Well, the Bills defense managed to play well enough to keep the Miami Dolphins out of the end zone too much and held them to and forced a missed field goal as well. But the Buffalo offense has really been the story. They have not been able to get on track. 26 yards passing this first half. 19 of it was on that last play from scrimmage on a desperation throw. So they really got to get it together offensively to have a chance in this game.
All right, we'll see what Trent Edwards can do here in the second half. And that brings us to the points of protection presented by Allstate.
Well, you look here, Ronnie Brown, 50 total yards plus the touchdown. Miami's 13 first downs, Buffalo only 4, and of course there's the 21 yards passing, 36 rush yards, and Trent Edwards was sacked twice. We said in the open, Gus, that Trent Edwards couldn't finish these plays with the ball in his hand. Being sacked twice really says something about the offense, but also they haven't been productive in any phase. And in fact, they went back and we talked about it. They simplified the passing game and just started running little button hooks out there to give them some success. And I think you can look for more of that. They're going to do some things to make sure they can stay on the football field a little longer offensively, maybe doing some more things that you know, on face value look a little bit more basic, but give Edwards a chance to drop back, not make too many reads, not ask too much of the offensive line, not have to switch to protection, just drop back, get rid of it, and move the football that way.
Miami, who deferred in the first half, will receive to start the second half. Ryan Liddell sending it away. Clifton Smith backpedaling in his own end zone and will take a knee. So Chad Henne comes back onto the field. Henne in the first half had a very solid first half. 13 of 18, 128 yards, 91.9 rating, and if he could have managed to throw the ball maybe a couple of feet in front of Brandon Marshall, he may have had a 54-yard touchdown as well.
Well, Dolphin fans would be doing cartwheels if they'd have connected on that long pass, and the numbers would have reflected. It would have been a great half, but as it was, no question, solid first half for Chad Henne.
First and 10 of the 20, and Ronnie Brown. Stutter step, and Brown knocked out of bounds. Posluszny coming up, but after a 2-yard gain.
Watch as comes out, Ronnie Brown comes out. Watch John Dante Whitner just get leveled by Brandon Marshall. If you're going to be a great player, you got to do it all. Watch, he works with Drayton Florence, sees the safety coming up, boom, steps off and gives him the shoulder. Great players, Gus, do it all. And Brandon Marshall's getting it done. Paul Posluszny down on the field on the sideline.
Not a good sign. Posluszny has had some problems staying healthy during his career. But another look.
It looks like he got hit there. Don't know if it was the hit, the secondary hit by Andre Davis, or when he fell out of bounds.
So Posluszny still down. And we will take a step away.
This telecast is copyrighted by the NFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or of any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the NFL's consent is prohibited.
And welcome back. Posluszny trying to loosen up his knee.
Was a guy that struggled with injuries, had each of his arms broken in successive seasons, and back in the lineup here today. Important part of the Bills linebacking core, no question.
Second down and 8. Henne looking to the sideline. Marshall, the intended receiver, incomplete. Pretty solid coverage there by Leotis McKelvin.
And that's the thing. You'll watch the coverage on this. Leotis McKelvin working against him. McKelvin is a physically gifted corner. He's young, but he can stay with players. Nobody's going to outrun him. But as you saw in the double move in the first half, the best way to beat a gifted corner is to fool him. And that, when you come out and run that little button hook on the outside, that's a tough route to get open. McKelvin was all over Marshall.
That's at the bottom of the street. Brandon Marshall at the top on 3rd down and 8 of the 22. Henne looking Marshall's way. Changes his direction, throws over the middle, best the intended receiver, and it's broken up. And that is McKelvin once again.
And a nice stand to start the second half for the Bills defense. Best comes out, runs the out, and then comes looking for it, looks for the soft spot, and then just waits for the football. McKelvin closes on it. Henne had all kinds of time to find the receiver and just couldn't do it.
Line drive, Parrish, a good chance to return this one. Number 33, Roscoe looking for a seam. Parrish spinning down the sideline, out of bounds. Roscoe Parrish, a 19-yard return on a 45-yard punt. As we take another look.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. KFC. Football fans, today is the day you double down. So good. And by Bing. Stop searching, start deciding with Bing, the decision engine from Microsoft.
Thursday this fall, William Shatner is an outspoken father who tells it like he sees it in the new comedy, Stuff My Dad Says, premiering Thursday, September 23rd after the Big Bang Theory, only CBS. Gus Johnson, Steve Tasker with you. Let's take a look at the first half possessions for the Bills.
And you see they started on their own end quite a bit. Only 3 plays. Look at that, 3 3-and-outs out of 5 possessions.
So their best starting field position inside Miami territory at the 48, first down. Edwards with time. Edwards starting to run. Throws it. Incomplete. Intended for Lee Evans.
Yeah, Trent Edwards had good protection that time. Couldn't find anybody open. Bought himself some extra time. Watch here. Steve Johnson going straight down the field. Comes back when he sees the quarterback starting to scramble. Lee Evans stops, comes across, then just continues on. That's the guy who finally had the ball thrown to him. Bills just can't click in their passing game.
Second down and 10 to the 48. Draw play. Nothing doing. Spiller drop immediately. Odrick, the rookie out of Penn State, that's a loss of 4.
Yeah, Demetrius Bell didn't do a good job on that. He's supposed to push the guy past the running back out to the left. Demetrius Bell, left tackle, doesn't get a big enough piece of Odrick to put him past C.J. Spiller. Right out here, he's supposed to push him past the running back and just didn't get it done. That's why you pay left tackles a lot of money. They got to have the strength to push that pass rusher past the running back on the draw play.
So, third down at 14 at the 48. Fred Jackson in the backfield with Edwards. Edwards rushed out of the pocket. And Edwards will get to the 45-yard line. Knocked out of bounds, a 7-yard gain. Tyrone Colbert knocking him out of bounds, but the Bills will have to punt it away.
Yeah, and that was not the kind of series you want to have when you've got 1st and 10 on your opponent 48. Not even to be able to get into field goal range. The Bills bring Brian Moorman on to punt it away. And both offenses had ugly series to start this half.
Since 2006, Brian Moorman with 111 punts inside the 20, 4th most in the NFL. Make it 112. As Smith with the fair catch. Miami backed up, leading at 10-3. Miami. Dolphins with the football at their own 9. First down. Ricky. And Ricky Williams carrying defenders to the 16. Pete Ellison with the tackle, a 6-yard gain. But when you look at Miami, Brandon Marshall's had a pretty good day, and he's not finished.
No, he's not finished. He came out, he's running crossing routes, catching the ball. He's got more reception than anybody in the game. Running after the catch, giving himself a chance for this. The home run as well. Didn't connect on this one, but that's a home run the receiver hit, and then bang, helping out in the run game. That's a good day's work for wide receiver. As you said, Gus, he's still going to be effective in this game.
Wildcat here, Ronnie Brown with the block, tries to get outside. Buffalo go ready for it. You know, this Buffalo defense, Steve, has not played bad. As Drake Florence made the tackle, they look very well prepared for everything.
Yeah, the Wildcat really gives a lot of teams problems because it's so different than anything they've seen. But the Bills have done a good job. Their defense is hanging in there. No big plays defensively, I think, for either team today. No turnovers. Still waiting on that, but there's been good sacks by the Miami defense. The Bills have yet to get one, at least that they earned.
Third down and 1. Polite and Ricky Williams in the offset eye for Miami. Inside handoff, Polite, and looks like he'll get it as he stuffs it up across the 20-yard line. And it's a gain of 2.
And that's one of the things, Tony Sperano, since he's been in Miami, you rarely see the Dolphins not pick up a short yardage situation. They're built for it. They've got great running backs. They've got so many personnel combinations. The defense is forced to play all the way across the field, and it just leaves them vulnerable to a puncture wound right in the middle of their defense for a quick, short gain in the first down.
First down and 10. Henny in trouble, steps up, throws incomplete. Henny doing a nice job to get that one away, preventing Buffalo from coming up with the sack.
Well, you're going to see some pressure coming right here. Drayton Flores coming off the corner, can't quite get there in time. Watch as he comes free, and he has to jump over the pressure from the far side. Double blitzes on both corners. It works for the Bills. They just don't get as much out of it as it looked like they had a chance to get. Henny does a nice job avoiding the pressure and throwing it away, giving him a chance.
Second down and 10. Henny to throw again. Short drop, far side, knocked away. Beautifully done for Buffalo's Leotis McKelvin as he reached around and redirected the football intended for Brandon Marshall. And you said that he was a gifted player.
He isn't what? You can't cover it any better. The Dolphins sideline wanted a penalty, but he does not. He puts his arm around, the left arm around, but you're allowed to touch the receiver if you don't gain an advantage. You cannot cover better than that. Outstanding job by Leotis McKelvin on that breakup. The only way he could have done it better is to step in front and pick it off. And what a great job there. You don't see that too much on a receiver like Marshall.
Third down and 10 at the 21. Henny 0 for 4 this half. Out of the shotgun. Henny looking. Dumps it off. Ronnie Brown incomplete. Buffalo starting to rough him up now. Drayton Florence. Bills defense popping their collars a little bit.
Yeah, 2 series in a row, the Bills defense has gotten a good stop. The Dolphins did get a first down on this series, but Buffalo starting to play with some emotion on the defensive side of the ball, getting a little more physical, particularly in their back end.
So Fields standing at his own 6. Roscoe Bear is back. Another short kick. And it takes a Buffalo bounce and will be down at the Miami 49, a 27-yard punt. Buffalo, great field position again.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by GMC, the official vehicle of the NFL. And by Verizon, the official wireless service provider of the NFL.
Miami with the lead. Buffalo hanging around though. First down and 10 at the Miami 49. Edwards fakes the pitch. Dumps it off. Jackson nowhere to go. Great defense by the Dolphins. Carlos Dansby, the former Arizona Cardinal. And it's a loss of 1 for the Dolphins. Opening up on the road has been a place that they've seen some struggle.
Yeah, no question. I think the biggest one is this one right here. That -7 differential right there. That's a crusher. You can't turn the ball over on the road.
You just couldn't wait to use that.
I've been waiting to use that little magnifying circle. I'm going to find a way.
Second down and 11. I know. Here's Edwards throwing down the field. Incomplete. Lee Evans, their intended receiver, no flags on the play. I don't know.
Well, when the defender looks back for the football, they're not going to call a penalty on anybody. Watch as you see him working here against Jason Allen, 5th-year cornerback. Allen got it. That's an arm bar.
That's an arm bar.
And you're right. That should have been called and wasn't. You can't grab the receiver's arm to keep him from swinging his arms when he runs. Jason Allen getting away with something, but you know what? He did it, and he made the play for the Dolphins, and now it brings up a 3rd and 11 instead of a big play for Buffalo. You do what you got to do to win, and Jason Allen did it.
On 3rd and long, Edwards dumps it off. Jackson. And Jackson will not get the first down. He's tackled by Chris Clemens from behind. And the Bills once again have to punt.
Great job by Miami's defense stepping up. Jason Allen stopping the big play down the sideline. And Clemens continuing to pursue after he blitzed in on a secondary blitz all the way across the formation, just kept running. Freddie Jackson made one guy miss, and Clemens, by the time one guy missed, Clemens was there to clean up on the tackle. Great job by Miami's defense.
Mormon punting from the 37, got this one high in the air. Beautiful punt. Kirk allows it to go over his head, and it bounces into the end zone for a touchback. So the Dolphins will have it at the 20, a 29-yard net on the 49-yard punt. 60 Minutes has investigated a lot of frauds over the years, but few have been as dangerous as the one Scott Pelley uncovers, plus a rare look at Beyonce. Tonight on 60 Minutes, only CBS. Steve, you surprised at this Buffalo offense and how much they've struggled in this game thus far?
Yeah, I think there was higher hopes coming into this regular season than there were a year ago because of the fact that they had such success in the preseason.
Wildcat offense now for Miami. Ronnie Brown in the backfield, Henny the receiver at the bottom. And Brown running straight ahead, gets to the 23. It's a 3-yard gain. Spencer Johnson first and 2.
One of the things that most teams feel about that Wildcat is that they don't believe that the Dolphins will run out of it. I mean, throw the football out of it. They think it's a run-only offense. Now, Ronnie Brown, when he's in there, he can throw it, and Bills fans will remember Ricky Williams, an ill-timed attempt at a pass last year that was intercepted in the end zone.
They're going at it again. They give it to Williams this time. And Buffalo, well prepared. It doesn't look like the Wildcat is as effective today for Miami as it has been in the past as Marcus Stroud and Kelsey.
Well, you're looking at a team in Buffalo that plays this Wildcat twice a year. And they get a good handle on it. Plus, the defensive coordinator for Buffalo was the inside linebacker coach for the Miami Dolphins a year ago. I mean, you got to think that they've got a handle on what scares the Dolphins about it.
3rd down and 7 at the 23. Henny under center. Henny looking. Caught, but they go nowhere. As Hartline makes the grab, now they call it an incomplete pass. And this Buffalo defense has really started to step up their play. Watch and listen to the collision. Drayton Florence in on the play, as well as Aaron Maben, and now Brandon Fields, who's been struggling last couple of punts. And a flag prior to the snap. They say it goes against Buffalo on 4th down and 7.
Yeah, Buffalo's defense and their special teams have played really well this half, giving good field position to the Bills' offense.
Neutral zone infraction on the defense, number 58. It's a 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
First penalty of the day, Aaron Maben.
Yeah, and those are, you don't like to see those on a 4th down. If that was a 4th and less than 5, all of a sudden it's 1st down Miami.
Look at the right side.
Right there. The Bills with two men deep on this, Roscoe Parrish and also Brian Scott in case of a short punt.
Field, this time he drives it. Parrish from the 27, trying to get around the corner, and does. And finally taken down at the 35-yard line, a 45-yard punt, 8-yard return. Lex Hilliard, one of their best special teams players, makes a tackle. And here come the Bills. 10-3 Miami. 7:06 to play in the 3rd quarter as the Bills break the huddle and start at their own 35. McIntyre, Marshawn Lynch back in the game. Edwards. And caught. Lee Evans makes a nice grab in front of Allen. But it's been a struggle today for this Buffalo offense.
And you look at the things that have happened throughout this game. The Bills have had 7 possessions. They've had 5 that were 3 and outs. And they've also had 3 and outs in a row. You see here not being able to get C.J. Spiller, the guy that everybody was so excited to see touch the ball. Couldn't get it done. 40 rush passes, 21 pass yards for a total of 61 on the day.
Now, Edwards out.
The Bills have their own Wildcat.
That's right. Jackson fakes the pitch. Runs straight ahead and picks up the 1st down. As he gets close to midfield, a 7-yard gain. Carlos Dansby trips him up.
And there's no question that this personnel combination or formation had the Miami defenders looking at each other going, oh, what do we do? And that's exactly why they pulled the Wildcat out. And you see there, if it works once, do it again. That's offensive thinking, Gus. Do it until they stop it.
So Buffalo giving Miami a dose of their own medicine. First down. At the Buffalo 49, Jackson remains in at QB. Now he goes outside, picks up yardage, flag on the play though.
Holding. Offense. Number 38. It's a 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
Corey McIntyre, the fullback. Now Buffalo utilized the Wildcat formation last season against Tennessee. Fred Jackson faked the handoff from Marshawn Lynch and threw a 27-yard touchdown pass to Lee Evans. It was the first TD pass in Jackson's career. So they bring Trent Edwards back into the game.
I think the penalty forced him to do that, Gus. First and 20 is a lot different than first and 10.
Edwards. Picked off. Oh, dropped. Wow. Benny Sapp had a touchdown in front of him.
Gus, you and I were just talking about how these defenses were playing. It was going to come down to a defensive home run that puts this game away or gives the Bills a chance to win it, to get back in it. Benny Sapp could have put the dagger in the heart of the Bills if he just pulls this pass in right at him. And that was I'm telling you, that was a touchdown drop right there.
Second down and 20 at the 40-yard line. Edwards again. Down the middle. Caught. Nelson. First down Buffalo. And a flag on the play at the 39. This may be coming back.
Holding. Offense, number 67. A 10-yard penalty. Still second down.
Andy Levitri, the left guard.
Yeah, and you'll see right there, he watches the play, it develops. Watch what the official sees. Both officials back in this area of the field. You see he's got him wrapped up, just pulled him down. Put the officials back in the backfield. Some people were worried about whether they'd be able to see things. And in Bill's case this time, they're thinking they're seeing too much because that was a hold.
Now it's second down and 30. Edwards in trouble. Dancing. And he throws it out of bounds. Whoa. Looks like some rough stuff after the play on Edwards. Misi.
Yeah, the fans wanted a roughing the passer. It's not going to be it. Both players were doing their best to hold up. You'll see Misi and there. And yeah, the fans don't like. The fans think they're piling on. I don't think Bell or Misi was doing that. They let up enough.
That's Jeremiah Bell.
Jeremiah Bell egging the crowd on, daring them to boo him. And the fans are happy to oblige.
No love lost between the Bills and the Dolphins, especially in Buffalo.
Trent Edwards got a problem there. He had to take a timeout because the play clock was not reset.
This is a 30-second timeout.
And the Bills had to spend a timeout because the play clock they felt was started so quickly. They didn't have a chance to huddle up and get back to the line of scrimmage.
4:39 to play in the third. 10-3, don't forget, coming up next, we'll head out to New York for the exciting conclusion of tennis's final major of the year as Rafael Nadal takes on Novak Djokovic in the U.S. Open men's final.
Yeah, this is on the third and we'll call it 30. I mean, this is a drive that had some good plays in it, and it still went backwards for Buffalo's offense.
Edwards underneath, almost intercepted and intercepted. Clemens. Chris Clemens picks it off, and we have our first turnover of the day.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of the players stopped thinking that ball skipped on the ground. And I don't think there's any question that it did. We'll watch as this play goes. Now the officials do the right thing. They let this play out. Watch and see.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't miss it. And here's, you know, and they did the right thing. They let it play just in case he did get his hands underneath it. But this play is going to be probably reviewed. Watch.
Buffalo is challenging the ruling on the field, and Miami intercepted the ball.
Yeah. No doubt about it. We'll see.
Looks like this will go Buffalo's way. 4:29 to play in the third. We have our first challenge of the day. And welcome back as you take a look at the end of the play. The ball clearly hitting the ground. Buffalo challenging the interception by Chris Clemens. Clemens doing a nice acting job as he gets up and runs. This Clemens' second year.
When you think about that last series with the Dolphin defense, started out Buffalo 1st and 10 on their own 48, and now backed up at their own 30.
Jack Gailey, very interesting when we talked to him on Friday at the Bills facility next door to the stadium, and when we asked him, I said, well, what do you expect? What do you think? He said, I just don't know. There's so many questions that will be answered by the time this game is over, and I'm sure that one thing that he's noticing is how his offense has really struggled just doing basic things.
Yeah, and he was really honest with us. He says, you just don't know until you line up. There's so many new things that are going to happen with this offense, so many things we think we got a good idea about, but when the lights come on, you just can't be sure of, particularly when the only time you've gotten to look at them is in the preseason against teams who don't game plan, teams who aren't playing their number one or their best players, and your own team who you're calling plays in order to evaluate people rather than working tactics and game plans. So he had a good idea, but you just don't know.
After review, the ball hit the ground prior to Miami player gaining possession. The ball, it will be 4th down on the 30-yard line. Please put 4:36 on the game clock. Buffalo is not charged a timeout.
Right there you can see, no question, the ball is between his arms on the ground. You got it right. Still a good play by the Dolphins, a good series by the Dolphins defense. A couple of bad penalties by the Buffalo Bills. 2 holding penalties, and you just don't overcome that, Gus.
So it brings up 4th down and 30, and the Bills will punt. Ryan Moorman from his own 16, and Clifton Smith is back at the 21. Moorman driving this football. Smith picks it up, and Smith goes down at the 23. Great special teams play after a 53-yard punt and a 5-yard return. McIntyre with the tackle on special teams.
Well, it's the Bills defense here in this second half, done some good things. Starting to get a little pressure on Henne, but for sure, in the back end of their defense, they're getting a lot more physical and a lot more impressive. Covering Brandon Marshall a little better on that play, plus also Javon Best and Hartline is also taking some shots, but the Bills secondary coming up physical, even though they don't have very much of a pass rush right now.
Miami from the 23, 1st down, Ricky Williams. And he hops forward, crossing the 25-yard line, picks up 4 on the play as Kelsey brings him down.
And this is like clockwork. The Dolphins come out on that 1st down and pound it out, and now it's 2nd and 5. And it changes everything. It's just so dependable for this Dolphin offense to know they're going to get into a 2nd and for sure a 3rd and manageable spot with that powerful running game. And now for the Dolphins, they need to settle down and remember they had a pretty good first half. They've got to get back to have some success. Don't need to throw it to do it, but they still got to move the football.
2nd and 6, Ricky Williams again. And Ricky gets to the 30. So he picks up 3. Miami faced with the 3rd down and 4 from the 30-yard line. A running back comparison, Ronnie Brown back in. Brown with 43 yards on 11 carries. Ricky with 10 carries and 31 yards. 3rd down, make it 3 at the 30. Empty backfield for Henne. Here's Henne to the sideline. Great catch. Brandon Marshall picks up the 1st down. Right in front of Terrence McGee and Dante Whitman.
Oh, that was a great offensive shift by the Dolphins. They move Ronnie Brown outside Brandon Marshall. The Bills adjust by leaving Marshall uncovered at the line of scrimmage to move the corner out on to Ronnie Brown. Brandon Marshall is free release right up the field. You got to give him a cushion to prevent the deep ball. That's an easy completion, smart completion for a 1st down.
Brandon Marshall, 7 catches, 49 yards.
False start. Offense. Number 68. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
That's Richie Incognito, the left guard.
Incognito was with the Buffalo Bills for a cup of coffee last season when the Bills were going through offensive linemen right and left because of injuries, and then landed in the offseason in Miami and is now a starter.
1st down and 15. Henne, far side, incomplete. That one thrown a little bit high, intended for Moore, Marlon Moore, a rookie out of Fresno State. Should have caught that ball.
Yeah, and you know, you think about it, and I think the problem for Chad Henne and Dan Henning, the offensive coordinator, and Tony Sperano is to keep from starting to gravitate too much toward Brandon Marshall this season. He's the only guy we've seen that's really been dependable for this offense today. They're going to have to find somebody else.
2nd down and 15. Henne again, same side. Finds Marshall. Brandon Marshall wrapped up and taken down by Keith Ellison after a 4-yard pickup.
And that was the play they ran for the 1st down a moment ago. Same formation shift, although with a different running back, and the same completion, hoping Brandon Marshall could break a tackle and get the 1st down, or at least get more yardage than he did. It was actually almost no gain on that play.
So that makes it 3rd down and 11 at the 34. Brandon Marshall splits wide to the bottom of your screen. Best in the slot at the bottom. Fans getting into it here in Buffalo. Henne under pressure. Fires out of the backfield. Ronnie Brown, but he won't get the 1st. Great pursuit by Buffalo as McKelvin and Aaron Maben combine on the tackle. A 3-yard gain on 3rd down and 11.
I got to tell you, Gus, the Buffalo Bills secondary is really doing an outstanding job because Chad Henne has all kinds of time to look around and find guys. And the secondary is scaring him off a lot of throws.
Harris back deep. Another wobbly kick by Fields. He has really struggled kicking the ball or punting the ball this afternoon. That one, a 33-yard punt.
And slowly but surely, the field position that favored the Bills so much early in the 2nd half is starting to shift further and further and putting them further and further to start their drives into their own end. You look there at the quarterback comparisons. And then rushing, C.J. Spiller, 5 touches for only 8 yards. And there's the big difference right there. Marshall with a big day. Lee Evans struggling to get a pass, only 9 yards.
The handoff, Spiller. Can't get outside. Great defensive pursuit by Miami as everybody just went to the football Koamisi, as well as Chris Clemens in on the tackle for the Dolphins.
Well, right now, you can kind of see the way the Dolphins defense feels about the Buffalo offense. They don't think Buffalo can complete a pass on them, so they're not bothering to worry about dropping back out of coverage or covering the whole field. They're packing it in to stop the run.
And that's the end of the third quarter with the score. Miami 10, Buffalo 3. We'll return to Buffalo after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Start of the fourth quarter, Miami holding on to the 10-3 lead opening day in the National Football League. Buffalo has the ball at their own 28. Second down and 11. Edwards out of the backfield. Wobbles, Spiller holds on but gets slammed to the turf by Tyrone Culver.
Yeah, Spiller trying to run with this football just a little bit before he actually has control of it. Watch here, he knows the guy's coming. He's been struggling, he's been getting hit hard like he did there all day, so it's starting to get into his mind, thinking he's got to do something more than just catch it.
Loss of 3 on the play, third down and 14 at the 25. Edwards. In trouble again. Edwards has to get rid of it. And does. Throws it out of bounds, but close to another sack for Miami. And now the fans not happy with the play of the offense.
Yeah, once again, Dolphins putting pressure on Edwards. Has to get flushed out of the pocket just to get rid of it. Jason Allen on Lee Evans. Good throwaway by Edwards, not giving anybody a chance to catch that football.
And Mormon will punt once again. Trent Edwards is 10 of 20 for 39 yards. Clifton Smith lets it take a bounce. And it will be down at the 27. A 48-yard punt. 10-3, Miami. Welcome back as we take a look at the quarterback comparison.
He had 9 yards for Henne, 4 yards for Trent Edwards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, only 6 completions between them.
First down and 10, Henne. And he is sacked. Good pressure. Chris Ellis comes around the corner and Buffalo records their second sack of the afternoon.
And this is the segment. Ellis just working right there. You'll see him. He's just on Vernon Carey. Just gets around him. Carey actually tries to do a good job of holding him in desperation. Ellis gets around almost a sack strip fumble.
A loss of 5. Second down and 15 at the 22-yard line. Buffalo defense doing a solid job, especially in the second half. Henne underneath, Bess with the catch, and he'll get to the 30, an 8-yard gain as Drayton Florence tracks him down from behind.
You know, the reason that sack was big because on the first down, the Dolphins have been getting 5 yards a pop on the run. They decided to go a little bit against that, try to mix it up a little bit to throw the ball on first down. Then all of a sudden they're forced to throw on second. It takes the run game out of it a little bit. A part of their offense that's been so good. But one sack really goes a long way. Sets up a third and long.
They need 7 yards for first down. Here's Henne. Lets it fly. Best. Nice catch as he makes a great move after the catch. He gets to the 40 and picks up a first. Gain of 11.
Yeah, Best is such a good, dependable third down receiver. Not really the deep threat of a guy like Brandon Marshall, obviously, but he's so strong. You see there, feels really comfortable working in traffic in tight coverage and catching the ball and turning up the field. It really is something that some guys do better than others. Catching it, tucking it, and expecting to get more yards. Best does a great job.
So a first down for the Dolphins at the 41. Ready to throw on first down. Underneath, pass again. Gets to midfield and maybe inside Buffalo territory as McKeldin makes the tackle. He gains 9.
And now the Dolphins sticking with the passing game. Bill's doing a nice job in the run game, starting to shut it down, making it tough to get those first downs. Now Dan Henning, offensive coordinator, doing his job as best he can to loosen that Bills defense.
He signed with the Dolphins as an undrafted free agent in 2008 out of the University of Hawaii. Best. Now Ronnie Brown, all kinds of room. Brown down the sideline, finally ridden out of bounds. At the 30, Drayton Lawrence pushes him out of bounds, but it's a 17-yard pickup.
And that brings the running game right back into it. A little success in one area of your offense sets up success for another area. You saw the Bills playing so well in this second half, getting the Dolphins off the field. The Dolphins forced to throw the football to have some success. Now, back to the run game that served them so well in the first half.
Brown on the sideline. Ricky Williams back in. First down at the Buffalo 33. Ricky. And he gets to the 29.
The Dolphins are a team that will never give up on their run. I mean, they're going to hang in there. And I think Chad Henne did a nice job finally hitting some different receivers other than Brandon Marshall. We talked a little bit about how it's so easy when you have a phenomenal player who's having a great game to go to him and go to him. If they start shutting him off, you got to find somebody else in the same part of the offense. You got to throw the ball, just throw it to somebody else to loosen that defense up.
A gain of 4 on the last play, 2nd and 6. Ricky. And this time he's hit in the backfield by Kyle Williams, goes forward.
I think it's going to be something the Dolphins, fight against or have to work around the entire year. You got these 2 great running backs, no question. And then the passing game with Brandon Marshall. There's not just one guy in the running game that you can lean on. You can't lean on one guy in the passing game. But Marshall is so good, I think the Dolphins tend to do that, particularly their quarterback. And they've had success this half going to other guys in the offense in the passing game rather than Marshall.
3rd down and 5 at the 28. Henny out of the gun, on the roll, stops, sideline, Best, but he won't have enough. On 3rd down and 5 at the 28, let's see.
Yeah, I don't know.
Looks like they pick up 4, and here comes the field goal unit.
Yeah, and I don't know. You'd think Best would have enough awareness to make sure he's past the first down marker, and he didn't. That's a play you got to make.
So Carpenter, good from 32. He missed a 46-yarder, wide left. This from 43 yards away. High snap, handled, up. And good. So the Dolphins take a 13-3 lead with 9:32 to play in the 4th quarter on the road at Buffalo.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Sprint, the Now Network. Allstate, dollar for dollar. Nobody protects you like Allstate. And by Bud Light. It's a sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
Welcome back, Buffalo, New York, as we take a look at the scoring drive. 9 plays, 48 yards. Carpenter with his 2nd field goal of the afternoon. There's the man, though, that has a lot of pressure on him. Trent Edwards has to figure out how to get this offense going as the Dolphins kick it out of the end zone.
You think back, Gus, how bad a day it's been for Buffalo. They've got 72 yards today. Last time with less than 100 net yards was all the way back in 73 against this same Miami Dolphin franchise. You're not going to win any games getting 72 yards of offense through 3 quarters. 3.5 quarters.
First down to the 20. C.J. Spiller back in the game. He's in the slot at the bottom. Edwards fires, and it's caught. Nelson. Nice effort after the catch. Gets close to the first down. And that is an 8-yard gain. Now they're going to speed it up a little bit. No huddle.
Got it. Okay, guys, let me get out.
You hear the official saying, let me get out. This has been an issue with the league. The umpire lines up behind the line of scrimmage. Usually he's closer.
Edwards again underneath. Lee Evans wide open. And he'll get to the 45. Jason Allen with the tackle. And Buffalo quickly to the line of scrimmage as Evans picked up 16 yards.
One of the things that happens in a no huddle, sometimes the defense simplifies. They don't do any complicated calls. They got to line up and just play, and they go to their base defense. It becomes easier to manage.
Edwards again. Another completion. Johnson and Steve Johnson picks up 13. Jeremiah Bell brings him down. And the Bills, once upon a time, there was a guy named Jim Kelly who knew how to get him to the line of scrimmage like this.
We'll see if they can keep it going. This is the most consistent, the best they've looked all day after a few plays.
Empty backfield. Edwards over the middle. Roscoe Parrish catches it. Holds on. Jeremiah Bell drills him. But he gains 7 yards.
The crowd appreciates the fact that he took a huge hit, got up, and lined up. That was a great shot by Bell.
Best drive of the day so far.
And that forces the basketball timeout, Gus. Miami takes a timeout to gather themselves. And Buffalo looking their best of the afternoon on offense right now.
Welcome back. Trent Edwards has completed 4 passes in a row. 42 yards on this drive. The first 9 drives, only 39 yards. He forced Miami to call a timeout. They have 2 left. And now some movement on the right side of the Bills' offensive line. That's Cornell Green, the right tackle.
False start. Offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Yeah, and I think that was a timely timeout taken by Tony Sperano. Gives him a chance to come up with a quick little thumbnail and give their defense kind of a thought to come in. If the Bills are going to go no huddle, here's what I want you to think about, and then send them back out on the field with a better plan than getting caught off guard like they did in the early part of the series.
Spiller in motion out of the backfield. Edwards flushed out of the pocket. Edwards down the sideline and goes down to the 39. Trent Edwards refusing the slide as Carlos Dansby puts it on him after a 4-yard gain.
That brings up a 3rd and about 7. Right here, nice rush off the outside by Cameron Wake. Forces Edwards to move to the sideline. He's done this a couple of times when he's scrambled. He has not gone out of bounds and not really gone to the ground gracefully.
3rd down and 7 at the Miami 39. They're 2 of 10 on 3rd down conversion. Trent Edwards to the sideline. Oh, nice throw. And a great catch by Evans. First down Buffalo. And Trent Edwards put some hot sauce on this ball.
And you see it was well defended by Allen, too. He got a good break on him. He just gave him too much of a cushion.
First down Buffalo. Edwards drops it off. Spiller cuts it inside, goes down to the 21. Now the Buffalo offense coming alive. A 9-yard gain as Jeremiah Bell brings him down.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills tinkered with the no huddle last year, went completely
Let me get out.
no huddle. They never huddled, and it didn't work very well for them. But here today, in the late going of this game, they've gone to it, and it's been successful.
2nd and 1. The inside handoff. Spiller breaks the tackle, and will be lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Remember, Spiller told us in our meeting on Friday that this is how he played all the time at Clemson.
Yeah, they never huddled up at Clemson. They used hand signals to give everybody the plays. So he's well versed in this type of offense.
Jackson.
Yeah, although he's replaced by Jackson right now.
Third down and 2. Edwards rolls out, tripped up and goes down. Terrific looking play by the rookie Koamisi, who wasn't supposed to start today. But Alma Francis woke up sick, and the rookie got the start. Third sack of the day for Miami.
And it couldn't have come at a worse time for the Buffalo Bills. They really needed to stay on the football field, needed the touchdown, and right now on 4th and 11, they're forced to go for it. With just 5 minutes left in the game, you got to take the shot.
So they lose 9 on the play. 4th down and 11 at the 31. Big play here for the Bills. Edwards fires up top, pass, touchdown! Roscoe Parrish, 31-yard touchdown. And we've got a ball game now in Buffalo.
How did the Dolphins not cover this after playing so well for so long?
So they score a touchdown on 4th down and 11. Extra point is good. 5:13 to play. 4th quarter, 3-point game here in Orchard Park. Back right after this.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by DirecTV. Watch your favorite team wherever you live, only on DirecTV. Call to switch today. And by Subway Restaurants. Build your better breakfast and grab lunch to go too.
Welcome back. The Bills make a huge adjustment. They go to the no-huddle offense, and on the drive, gain 80 yards. The first 9 drive of the game, they only had 77 total yards. 3-point game as Buffalo sends it away. Picked up on the sideline. And this is Patrick Cobbs running. A return of 13.
You look back at that touchdown. The defense for the Dolphins is looking like they're dropping back into 3 deep, but there's a mistake. Culver takes a couple steps up, and that leads to getting run right past by Roscoe Parrish. Watching the safeties drop out, but Culver steps up. Parrish goes right by him, right into the end zone. Totally, they blew that coverage, no question.
First down and 10 of the 26 for Miami. Penny will throw on first down. And pass, another catch and first down, or close to it, as he steps out of bounds at the 35. Looks like he gained 9 in front of Drayton Florence.
Yeah, you're finding out it's so difficult to defend the whole field. When you're just thinking about the running game, it's one thing. When you're just thinking about Brandon Marshall, it's another. But when you throw Devon Bess into the mix and Anthony Fasano into the mix, the Dolphins are a handful. But without pressure up front on Henne, the Bills are not going to get it done.
Bess, 6 catches, 51 yards. Ricky Williams running, and he's tripped up and goes down at the 40. But picks up a first down, gain of 4.
Yeah, the clock management is going to be huge. 4:36 and counting. This is when the Dolphins will go into their 4-minute offense. And what that means is they're going to take their time. They're going to use all the play clock. They're going to stay in bounds at every opportunity to make sure the clock continues to tick away. Both teams have 2 timeouts left. Buffalo wants to save them to get a chance for a game-tying field goal at least. And the Dolphins want that clock to drain.
First down at 10 of the 39. Ricky Williams. And Ricky Williams with big yardage. Marcus Stroud makes the tackle, but an 8-yard pickup. That offensive line for Miami really firing off the football.
Yeah, it's just about staying on the football field. The Dolphins could care less if they score another point in this game as long as they've got the football and don't give it up. Just grinding it out is going to be the key for them, Gus.
Both teams with 2 timeouts remaining, plus the 2-minute warning coming up. Second down and 2 at the 47. Polite and Williams in the backfield. Ricky again. Ricky breaks a tackle and picks up a first down. 13-10, Miami with the lead over Buffalo. 3:15 to play in the fourth quarter here on opening day in Orchard Park, New York. For most of this game, the Dolphins led 10-0. They went up, led 10-3. They went up 13-3, and then the no huddle was used by Buffalo to score their only touchdown of the game. Ronnie Brown running over the left side. Let's take a look at the last drive for Buffalo.
Yeah, it came out, no huddle offense for the Buffalo Bills. Trent Edwards directing the team down the football field, finding Lee Evans almost exclusively through the air. Then the touchdown to Roscoe Parrish as the Dolphins let him get behind him on a 4th and 11 play that led to the touchdown for Buffalo. And now Miami doing their best to grind it out and end this football game.
Second down and 5 at the 43. Chad Henne has been solid at quarterback for Miami. Henne underneath, deflected, incomplete, and that'll bring up a 3rd down and 5. Maybe the biggest play of the game for both teams coming up.
No question, the Dolphins can't feel too good about letting Trent Edwards and the Bills offense come back out and go no huddle. On the 3rd and 6, they've got to get this first down. If they do, it means they'll get the 2-minute warning, and Buffalo will probably have to waste both timeouts in order to have a chance, and that's only if Miami doesn't get another first down. I mean, this is it. Buffalo has a chance if they can stop them here.
3rd down, 5, hard line. Fasano to the far side. Marshall, the great receiver at the bottom with Best, who's been explosive in the fourth quarter, crossing. And a timeout called by the Dolphins.
Timeout, Miami.
One timeout remaining for Miami.
This will be a 30-second timeout.
As we take a look, quarterback play, Chad Henne, consistent. Edwards coming on, the rookie Spiller in his first game, not doing as much as I'm sure he'd like. And Brandon Marshall has been great. Lee Evans coming on as well for Buffalo.
Yeah, no question about it. Brandon Marshall's been a factor in this game. He just missed a home run touchdown catch in the first half that really would have put this game into a different light. But as it is, he's been a force.
3rd down, 5 at the 43. Big play. Ronnie Brown in the backfield. Watch Bess. Here's Henne looking. Henne stacked at midfield. Brian Scott shot the gap, and Buffalo will get another chance. 3rd sack of the day for the Bills. Miami ready to punt, and we're at the 2-minute warning. Chad Henne took too much time.
Warning.
Buffalo made him pay. (13-10), Miami with the lead. 2 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter on opening day. Buffalo will get another chance. Roscoe Parrish, very dangerous back deep. Field sends it away. Parrish lets it go over his head, and it takes an Aussie bounce and is downed at the 1-inch line. What a punt for Brandon Fields, 48 yards, and Steve, he had been struggling.
Yeah, he had really struggled punting the ball, an average of 37.8 on the day, but this one could not have been better. Lands it inside the 5 and stops it inside the 2, inside the 1. Great special teams play by the Dolphins at a time when they needed it the most.
And Darren Bennett, the former San Diego Charger Pro Bowler, made that type of punt famous in the NFL.
Oh yeah, now everybody has to be able to do it. Fields did it perfectly.
So the Bills huddle up in their own end zone. Their last drive, they went 80 yards. They have 2 timeouts remaining. in the gun. Edwards underneath, and the ball is incomplete, intended for Steve Johnson. That'll bring up 2nd and 10.
On the outside, this is, you hate it, backing up into your own end zone. Pretty good protection, but the ball has to come out. We said at the beginning of the game, the Bills will be okay if Trent Edwards never ends a play with the ball in his hands. It's happened a couple of times as the Dolphins have gotten some good pressure and gotten a couple of sacks. But no time more important than now for Edwards to get rid of the ball as fast as he can.
Fred Jackson in the game, he's the receiver. In the slot up top, Edwards fires. Picked up! Oh, broken up. Wow, Jason Allen. If he could have held on, would have had a sure touchdown. And that brings up 3rd down and 10.
Jason Allen, after 5 years of hanging around, gets the start for the Dolphins in the secondary. Guys, there's reasons guys are secondary players. It's because they can't catch the ball on offense. So they put them on the other side of the ball to knock it down. Jason Allen, you'll have insomnia over that one.
3rd down and 10 at the 1. Big play for Edwards. Here they come. Edwards has to get it off. Incomplete. And that brings up 4th down. So what do you do now, Steve Tasker?
Well, you go for it. I mean, you don't have a choice. You got to come out and throw the football and try and get the 1st down.
No, they're not going to go for it. They're going to punt the football as Mormon comes on.
I disagree.
Remember, the Bills do have 2 timeouts left. So they can't stop the clock. Why do you disagree?
The way you've played in this game, you're not going to get this football back. Miami's going to catch this ball, fair catch this ball, get 1 first down and win this football game. I know it's a risk. There's no question it's a risk, but you don't get any more desperate situations than this with 1:35 to go.
And they're going to snap the ball right out of the end zone for a safety.
The result of the play is a safety. 2 points for Miami.
And now Miami gets the ball back, and Buffalo's got to try an onside kick on the free kick. And basically what they're doing is they're going to take a chance on getting the onside kick here, give themselves a chance to now for better field position, actually probably inside their own 30 anyway. They got to score a touchdown to win the game, and the field goal does them no good. I understand that strategy. But getting an onside kick off a free kick that they're expecting, I don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think, now they've got Mormon on the field too, and if they punt this away, I think that's asking a little bit too much. And I know 4th and 10 on your own 1 yard line with 1:40 to go is the last place you want to be, but the Bills are as desperate gets right here. And the Dolphins put their hands team out on the field, and it looks like Buffalo's going to hand it to Brian Mormon for him to kick it away. We'll see. I know Brian Mormon's never practiced an onside kick.
And he just pops it in the air.
And Dolphins took a quick timeout just before he kicked it.
Miami takes their 3rd and final timeout. It's a 30-second timeout.
Yeah, see, they thought he might try the onside kick as well. And just in case he did, they wanted to call a timeout. Now they can get a plan in place, thinking that the Bills are still going to kick it away like they did. Bruce DeHaven, special teams coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, trying to find a way to give his guys a chance. And there you see the hands team for the Miami Dolphins. John Bonamigo over there getting his guys ready. It's nice, and rarely do you see a special teams coordinator have a chance to use a timeout.
Brandon Marshall also on the field for Miami as part of the hands team.
And Brandon Marshall, he's standing over right where Mormon's last kick went out of bounds. They put Marshall right where they think the ball might go.
Foreman just pops it in the air, and it's fair caught by Marshall at the 45. So here's the situation, 1:32 remaining in the fourth.
It's a smart play, but now you got to use 2 timeouts to try and stop the Miami Dolphins offense from getting a first down.
With the score 15-10.
And this Miami run game has really been a force today, and you can bet right now this is what an offensive line loves to do in the NFL level, win a game with a first down.
123 rushing yards today for Miami. Ricky Williams and goes down at the 48, 4-yard gain.
Buffalo takes their timeout.
Timeout, Buffalo.
George
The
Wilson
second
coming
timeout.
up with the tackle.
It's the
1
32nd
timeout
timeout.
remaining for Buffalo. 15-10 our score on opening day in the National Football League. Exciting game, especially in the fourth quarter. And don't forget, next Sunday, the NFL on CBS continues with doubleheader action. First, the Dolphins head to Minnesota to take on Red Favre and the Vikings. And in the late game, many of you will see Tom Brady and how about the Patriots today take on the New York Jets. Check local listings beginning with the NFL Today.
Patriots didn't look like they missed too much.
No, they didn't.
Tom Brady looks happy to have a new contract.
I don't think he was really worried about it, I guess, to be honest with you. I think his wife is the top rater in that house. Second down and 6 at the 48. Williams, Ricky, and he stopped at the Buffalo 49-yard line. Bills use their final timeout as George
Buffalo.
Wilson
Their
stops
third
it.
and final timeout. This is also a 30-second timeout.
It's a 30-second timeout. Miami's last win in a road opener came in 2003 visiting the Jets. The Dolphins rode Ricky Williams to victory. Williams finished with 34 carries, 125 yards, a touchdown, and a 21-10 win. The Dolphins have lost 6 straight road openers since then.
Well, Tony Sperano's got him in the driver's seat right now, a 3rd and 3. And a first down puts it away.
Most likely the Dolphins will keep it on the ground so the Bills can pin their ears back. Here's Ricky, and he won't pick up the first down. Ricky Williams goes down about a yard short. So that brings up 4th down and 1. And the clock will run.
And they'll run it down. I mean, the Dolphins have an opportunity even to take a 5-yard penalty. Just let the entire play clock is 15 seconds and counting, leaving 35 seconds left on the game clock, and your punter can go put it inside the 5 again.
Delay a game on the offense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
So 36 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. They'll back it up and give Brandon Fields some extra room. Remember, he came up with that dynamic punt that landed at the 1-inch line, or was down at the 1-inch line. What are the rules for Roscoe Parrish? He let that ball go over his head, anticipating it would go in the end zone. How about this time?
Right, they probably gave him some special instructions. They want him to field this kick if possible and get it out away from the goal line. They're going to come with everybody to try and block it. Didn't do it, and that's a good job by Fields there, kicking this one out of the end zone. The worst thing that can happen is to kick it to the best athlete on the field like Roscoe Parrish and have something crazy happen. Somebody miss a block or the officials miss a clip that springs him for a touchdown. Just give them the football on the 20, make them go 80 yards in 30 seconds, and trust that your defense, which is for the most part of this game dominated the Bills offense, just turn them loose and win this game.
So the Bills have 29 seconds, no timeouts, with the football at their own 20, and they need a touchdown. Edwards in the shotgun. Edwards scrambles out of the pocket, throws, Jackson incomplete. "23 seconds to go.
And sooner or later, the Bills are going to have to throw it down the football field. I mean, that's all there is to it. If they want to have a chance to win this, they got to air it out and get down. They got to get big chunks of yardage to at least give them a chance to throw for the end zone at the end of this game.
23 seconds to go. Second down. Edwards has that one. Batted down at the line of scrimmage. Wow, Tony McDaniel got a big hand on it. And that brings up third down.
There's pressure by the front four of the Dolphins, just making sure that even though the Bills have got it all spread out and they're only rushing 4 guys, that the ball has to come out on time for Trent Edwards. Not a great rush, not a great high pressure situation, but you still have to get enough pressure to make that quarterback feel like he has to throw it on time.
Third down and 10, 17 seconds remaining. Edwards flushed out. Edwards taken down. He flips it. And Steve, Trent Edwards has to throw the football somewhere.
Yeah, he's got to put it up, even if it is up for grabs.
Was out of the pocket. Ball got beyond the line of scrimmage.
So that makes it fourth down.
Yeah, and as good as they looked on that 80-yard drive for the touchdown, they've looked just as inept in these last 2 possessions. Dolphins going to their dime package, dropping 7 guys into coverage, rushing 4. And Trent Edwards just not seeing anybody that he can throw the football to.
Fourth down, 8 seconds left, and he may not get this play off in time. Wow.
Delay game.
Delay game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still fourth down.
Yeah, no question if this game ends up as it looks like it's about to, the Bills have got some work to do. No question that Miami Dolphins have got a solid defense. They brought some pressure. It's hard to prepare for a game like this on both sides, for the Dolphins and for the Bills, because you don't know what either team's going to look like when they really take the blinders off their playbook. And the Dolphins came out with more weapons than the Bills could answer.
Would be the final play. That ball caught by David Nelson, and the clock will run out. That's the end of the game. The final score, Miami 15, Buffalo 10. Coming up next, it's the U.S. Open Men's Final. For Steve Tasker, this is Gus Johnson saying so long from Buffalo. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.